Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Thought I'd do a quick Friday night one. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, but hopefully that won't come across too much on camera. And also, please like and subscribe on YouTube. I think we're 5 subscribers away now from 2,000, which is just crazy, to be honest. Amazing stuff. Thank you, everybody who subscribes to this channel. And as I've said before, if you don't subscribe, you're a Birmingham City fan. You go to bed at night dreaming of getting a tattoo right across your chest that says "Keep right on" to the end of the road. Those are the rules. I didn't write them. Go and talk to the owners of Google. They own YouTube. Talk to them about it. Wasn't me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, I thought I'd just do a quick one before the big Arsenal game. I mean, look, I am still on cloud cuckoo land after the demolition of Manchester City the other night. I still cannot believe 22 shots to Man City's 2, one of which was offside. I mean, statistically, Pep Guardiola has never, ever in his entire managerial career been so dominated. Ever since the glory days of Barcelona to his great Bayern Munich side to this seemingly unstoppable force of Manchester City, Pep Guardiola has produced some of the greatest football of all time, produced the greatest football team of all time, I think, in Barcelona. And I have grown totally used to the idea that nobody ever dominates Pep Guardiola, ever. Maybe once I can think of where Liverpool did it at Anfield, but that was more of a emotion-driven, overwhelming, I would say, rather than a cool, clinical, precision outfighting, as Villa showed the other day. We outplayed them. It was just an incredible, incredible thing to witness. To see Aston Villa up in third place ahead of Manchester City this far into the season, it's special, isn't it? Very, very special. A very special time to be a Villa fan and to see the picture of all the Villa players together celebrating that win. You know, Newcastle do it every game whenever they win with Jason Tyndall in the middle. Like where's Wally? But with Villa, you don't see that. And to see that picture with all them players, and it just felt like something's happening, isn't it? Irregardless of what happens against Arsenal, it feels like as Paul Webbo said on the midweek social with him. Go check that out. Where it felt like it was a win that doesn't just sort of give you confidence for this season, but also for seasons after. It makes you feel like we can compete with anybody. If we can outplay Manchester City, I know they were missing so many key players, KDB, Rodri, Grealish, Doku. Fine, I get that. But they still have a crazy squad. They still have an unbelievable team. Acquired at great expense. They still have Calvin Phillips up there at nearly 50 million quid, not getting a game. They're bringing on Cunha, the former Wolves player, Kovacic. I mean, how many millions did they sign those guys for? Extraordinary performance. And it just gives you full confidence going into this Arsenal game. And you suddenly believe in maybe we can beat them. Arsenal's away form this season is not great. Now, I've watched Arsenal a lot this season. I've mentioned it already this week, but I've watched them a lot this season. I live in London, so I have a lot of very close friends of mine are Arsenal fans. So I've taken more of an interest in Arsenal than any other club, really, outside of Villa. Like I say, just because I watch them more. I watched them last season. I would go and meet friends in Arsenal pubs and watch it with lots of Arsenal fans in their, their exciting run to the title that didn't happen last season. You know, when they beat Bournemouth 3-2, when they beat Man United 3-2, when they got these big wins and had these big games, I was sort of there to watch it. So I feel like I've got a good understanding of how they play more so than other teams. And I went to the Emirates this season to watch them play Nottingham Forest. Now, it felt to me last season, Arsenal, they were very, very reliant on their wingers, Martinelli and Saka, stretching the play out wide, hugging the touchline, and then Odegaard being that sort of playmaker in the middle. And then, of course, having a very solid defence in Gabriel and Saliba, two extraordinary centre-backs, to be honest. Amazing centre-backs. But they sort of changed it up a bit this season. Like, yes, they had the inverted fullback coming in with Zinchenko last year, which caused us problems at Villa Park. But it feels a bit like this season, what they tried to do from the start was have Thomas Partey as the right back, and he would come forward and play kind of as that inverted fullback in the centre midfield. So it was almost like he was playing two positions, right back, centre midfield, alongside Declan Rice. And the problem was that bringing Declan Rice in, it kind of led to it being a bit of a malfunctioning system. In fairness to them, they lost Jurriën Timber on the first day of the season. He looked a very impressive player in pre-season. He looked a very impressive player at Ajax. I think Arsenal have lost a big player there. And I think it's causing them some problems at left back, which is where I think Villa should target Arsenal, which is where I think they will target Arsenal. But it feels like they've sort of got their act together, although they're still vulnerable. So it feels like Arsenal start quite fast. It feels like they get goals quite early. You know, they got 2 ahead at Wolves at home the other day. But away from home, but then later in that game, they sort of don't put you away. And they allow teams to come back into it, which is what Wolves and Luton did this last week. Wolves got their goal, putting Zinchenko under pressure. And Zinchenko isn't looking comfortable at the moment this season, I think, in possession. I think that they're putting him under pressure last week. He gives the ball away and Wolves score a goal straight from it. And I think Villa have got to look at that position tomorrow on Saturday as that is the place we can do real damage to Arsenal. Because, like I say, if you put Zinchenko under pressure, he's not massively comfortable in possession. And Villa against Manchester City and against Brighton earlier this season, putting teams under pressure high up in that kind of mid-block we're playing, we're not really giving teams like Brighton and City who want to play out from the back great options to play out from the back. And you sort of feel with Arsenal, it might be quite a similar process, unless Arteta obviously just throws a spanner in the works and tries something different. But I just kind of feel that if we aim at that sort of left-back area, try and get on Zinchenko if he's the one on the ball, or if Zinchenko plays as the inverted fullback, or Kivior as well, who didn't play well against Luton and didn't look confident. If either of those two are playing at that fullback position, it could be somebody else, but if they're the two, one of the two, and they come inverted, where this benefits Villa is that, like against City, if we win the ball kind of in our own defence, we have the option then to play it quickly into the feet of a John McGinn. And John McGinn, like he did when he whipped the ball round to Leon Bailey, who went through on goal and took a good shot, good save from Ederson. If we can do that, target that area throughout the game, I just can't help but feel that that's going to cause problems for Arsenal, particularly with a player in the form of Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey, my goodness, I have waxed lyrical about that guy this week. He was brilliant against ball. He's been brilliant ever since the Everton 4-0. Superb out in Alkmaar as well, where him and Tielemans was, both came to life and both gone up a level since then. And I sort of feel that Leon Bailey, I think he's going to start. I don't think you can drop the man unless you want to balance the minutes with him and Diaby, given the volume of games we've got. And Emery's a very wise manager. I sometimes look at Newcastle and think, is that partly that injury crisis? And I don't want to say it is because I don't know, but I do wonder if there's something in this that partly unlucky, partly having the volume of games, the intense Champions League games they've got. But does it help to have an Unai Emery who's been there and done it in Europe multiple times versus an Eddie Howe who's not been there and done it in Europe? Is there a management of game load that maybe Emery's able to... He's just a bit more experienced with it. I think Howe's a really talented manager, of course. What he did at Newcastle last season, amazing, impressive, on top of the fact they are owned by a nation state. But it was very impressive what he did. But I do wonder if that's played a part. Whatever, that's beside the point. Back to the Arsenal game, I think if we can target that left-back position and where Leon Bailey will be, I think, if you remember last season in the 4-2, it was 2-2 up to about the 88th minute mark. or it was a bit, yeah, it was quite late in the game. They went 3-2 up. And if you remember at 2-2, Villa had 3 occasions I could think of where Zinchenko had pushed forward looking for the winner, playing as the inverted fullback. And there was acres of space that Leon Bailey ran into and Yon Duran ran into. And both of them got through, took a shot, and Ramsdale, with a fantastic save, pushing it onto the bar, prevented it being 3-2. So I can't help but think that tomorrow there might be a repeat of that. We might see examples of that again tomorrow. But if they decide to go inverted from the other side of the pitch, well, then, we've got the potential for Jacob Ramsey to turn up, or Luca Dean or Alex Moreno to run into that space and pin them back. Now, Arsenal are a different prospect to City, because if you think of City's wingers the other day, they really missed Doku, particularly because they didn't really have pace. I don't associate Foden and Silva as 2 players if you think of as being, blistering pace. And with the high line, if we're pinning them up further up the pitch all the time, it's quite hard for them to break in behind and take a player on and outpace them, which is partly why I think Konsa maybe played at right back. I wonder, and again, we talked about this on the Midweek Social with Paul Webb, whether, again, he might have to manage game load, and so maybe Carlos comes out the team and Konsa moves back into the centre-back role and Cash goes out to right back, just so that Cash can keep pace with Martinelli, because that's where Arsenal's biggest threats are, isn't it? I think Saka is their biggest threat. He's a fantastic player. I absolutely love Saka. But Saka and Martinelli, if the two of them are hugging the touchline, all that speed up and down, I think that's a bit more threatening to the high line than what City were able to do. And on top of that, Arsenal last season, and again, I saw it the other night against Luton, that Ben White partnership with Saka, where Ben White overlaps him or underlaps him, that is so hard to stop. And we struggled to stop it last season. But if we're able to do that, if we say double up on Saka, and if we double up on Martinelli, whether that's through, say, a Douglas Luiz comes across to support the fullback, whether Kamara comes across to support the other fullback, or whether it's McGinn comes back or Ramsey comes back, whoever it is, Tielemans, I don't know. But whoever it is, if we maybe double up on those fullbacks and therefore have the support if those are on the wingers, and therefore have the support for fullbacks to try and overlap or underlap. On top of that, I can't help but think that Villa might just go to man mark Odegaard, because Odegaard, again, I watched him live and I was so incredibly blown away with his technique, his ability. He is a brilliant, brilliant player, Odegaard, again. And what was happening last season was that Saka and Odegaard were overloading us out on the right, or on Arsenal's right, on Villa's left. And then if they couldn't beat our men, well, they'd pull it back to Odegaard, who'd be standing there and could then whip a ball in, or maybe take the ball, put a clever little pass to split our defence into Saka, who's gone in behind. That area is very, very dangerous for Arsenal. So I kind of think that's where Unai Emery will be, planning hard. But I mentioned Leon Bailey. Like I said, if he plays like he did on Wednesday night, as the great Jamaican legend Bob Marley once said, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right with Leon Bailey on the pitch. I tell you, the way he's playing right now, I wonder if we could get a Bailey song going to like a Bob Marley tune. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? But like I said, sorry, I'm a bit under the weather. But yeah, so Declan Rice then as well. I mean, God, you'd reel off all these players. What an amazing team they have. Declan Rice, if he's just able to marshal around at the back, picking out long passes over the high line, I think he could be he's, again, dangerous in that respect. But with the way Villa pressed the other day, the way Villa held their line, bunged up the centre of the pitch for those close-knit units, everybody close together. And then when we won the ball back, we were able to move the ball from back to front really rapidly, and able to play quick interchanges with the passing lanes that were, Carlos and Luiz and Kamara never too far away from each other. We can cause Arsenal real damage tomorrow. Again, I think potentially Bailey, Moussa Diaby area might be where it happens. Tielemans, if he starts as the second striker coming deep, again, just weaving passes into that right, just constantly hitting that area. And on top of that, David Raya, not in good form. He was very poor against Luton. Did not look certain on 2 goals that Luton scored from set pieces. And then again, Luton, Ross Barkley's goal, should have saved it. Didn't. Can't help but think that, if Douglas Luiz has corners, Austin McPhee will be, thinking, I don't think I need to do any wizardry with this one. Just put that on Raya's head every time. Just keep getting it on his head because he ain't confident. So that's definitely an area Villa can hurt them. But like I say, I think there's that right area particularly is threatening. Those transitions, again, because Arsenal, if they're pushing forward the high line, again, like we saw against City, get that ball in behind quickly. Get it in behind quick. With Watkins, again, proving important with his runs. And who else would I say? I think on the left side, I'm interested to see if he goes with Dean again. Dean looked like he picked up a bit of an injury potentially the other day. Maybe I don't think he'll change it on the left side, but if he does, goes with Ramsey and Dean. In attack, those two offer so much. But if he sort of goes to the same team as he did the other day, apart from Concert coming into the centre and Cash on the right, you're then thinking of our substitutes. We've got amazing substitutes to come on and impact the game. Again, like I say, Ramsey, Moreno, Moussa Diaby, even Diego Carlos, if you want to bring him on. Zaniolo as well. These are really high quality substitutes we've got at the moment. It's a long old way from replacing Trezeguet with El Ghazi every game, even though I love both those players and think both of them are a little bit underrated, to be honest. Thinking back on Trezeguet's all-timer of a goal against Arsenal, that 1-0 that we desperately kept us up in the league, amazing. But yes, tomorrow we absolutely can go into it and win it. It'd be 15 games in a row if we won it. The last time we lost at home, Arsenal 4-2. The last time we didn't win at home, all the way back at the start of this year. What an incredible record. What an incredible manager Professor Renee is. What a team this is. I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. The volume of games we've had, tough. But after Wednesday night, after what we did at Tottenham, after what we did against Warsaw, after that last-minute comeback against Bournemouth, after the way we've played at home all season, would you bet against Aston Villa? Because I wouldn't. Up the mighty Villa.